Well, Donald Trump just managed to do what no foreign enemy ever could. He turned America's own generals against the President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief. This breaking moment marks a major shift inside the U.S. military. The same generals who once tolerated Trump-esque chaos are now quietly turning cold, after what insiders are calling the most shocking and unprecedented Trump speech ever delivered to the military. At Quantico, the heart of the Marine Corps, hundreds of top generals and admirals were summoned from around the world. No notice, no explanation. Many believed it might be a classified briefing or a national security update, maybe even a warning about war. Instead, they walked into something else entirely. What they got wasn't a defense meeting. It was a full-blown MAGA rally in uniform. Trump stood at the podium and declared, "We are under invasion from within, no different than a foreign enemy." He said that what's happening in cities like San Francisco, Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles was a kind of war, and that these generals would be leading that fight. But this wasn't strategy. It was political theater disguised as military command. As he spoke, the room stayed silent. 800 of America's most powerful military leaders sat stiffly, hands on their laps, not a word, not a clap. The tension was thick. You could hear the hum of the air conditioning. This was supposed to be a show of power, but it looked more like a silent protest. Trump tried to joke about Obama, about walking downstairs, even about taking out enemies who don't wear uniforms. But no one laughed. The generals didn't react, because they knew this wasn't normal. This was the commander-in-chief blurring the line between politics and the Pentagon, and doing it in front of cameras. He warned them that if they didn't like what he was saying, they could leave the room. But everyone knew what that meant. To walk out would be career suicide. So they stayed, frozen in place, watching their commander treat the U.S. military like a campaign audience. You could see the discomfort. Because the U.S. military has one sacred rule: it stays apolitical. Officers swear an oath to the Constitution, not to any president, not to any party. That line, between civilian leadership and military command, is what keeps democracy intact. And in that Quantico room, that line was crossed. Then came Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. His speech drew just as much backlash. He took the stage and went after what he called fat generals. He said, "It's tiring to look out at formations and see overweight troops and fat generals." Think about that. A civilian appointee lecturing decorated officers, many of whom have led troops into war, about fitness and loyalty. The reaction? The same icy silence. The Pentagon brass looked insulted. According to several sources present, it felt less like a leadership summit and more like a loyalty test. This entire gathering cost taxpayers over $6 million, at a time when the government is on the verge of shutting down. Military personnel were pulled from active duty around the world just to attend what insiders are now calling a political circus. What could have been an email turned into an international embarrassment. The fallout has been immediate. Reports say that top generals are furious behind the scenes. Some are considering early retirement. Others are quietly pushing back against attempts to politicize the armed forces. The Pentagon's leadership, once patient, is showing signs of open resistance. For America's allies, this is a red flag. When the U.S. military, once the world's most respected institution, becomes a political stage, global confidence collapses. For adversaries, it's a gift. They don't need to weaken America from the outside if America's leadership is doing it from within. What's happening here is deeper than one speech. It's about power. Trump is testing the boundaries of military loyalty. He's not looking for competence, he's looking for obedience. He wants to know who will salute him, and not the Constitution. And that is exactly what every authoritarian in history has tried to do before the fall. Observers are calling this a breaking point, a moment when the generals might finally draw a line. It's not a revolt yet, but it's close. The frustration is visible. The respect, gone. The silence in that Quantico room said everything. Enough is enough. The next few days will be crucial. Will the Pentagon issue a statement? Will we see resignations or quiet firings? All eyes are now on the generals to see whether they will stand their ground or fall in line. The next 48 hours could decide whether this was just another Trump stunt or the start of a full-blown civil-military crisis. Either way, this was a game-changing moment, a test of America's institutions, its discipline, and its future. And as the world watches, one question lingers. Who does the U.S. military serve, the president or the Constitution? Thanks for watching. I'm your host, bringing you analysis that cuts through the noise. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the generals are finally pushing back, or will they stay silent? Let's talk about it. Until next time, stay informed and stay tuned for updates.